Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
Happy Monday, all you minties. Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today, I'm going to be giving you an advanced look at the Marvel Fanfare Omnibus. Now, what exactly is this book about? Well, let's find out together. And welcome back, everybody. Now, before going any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advance copy of this Omni. This Omni is due out in the direct market and book market on May 13th or 14th, depending on where you get your books. So, speaking of direct market and book market, what we're looking at here is the direct market cover by Frank Miller. On the left-hand side is your standard edition cover, and that is the one that is supplied by Michael Golden. The direct market cover, however, is only available at places like cheapgraphicnovels.com, waltzcomicshop.com, bdcosmos.com, comicsbugle.com, readcomics.com, Die and Breed Collectors, Organic Price Books, Forbidden Planet, Tales of Wonder, In-Stock Trades, DCBS, or of course your local comic book store. Now, everything underneath the dust jacket is the same, so let's shift the focus back to this cover right here. It's a very patriotic cover. Somebody said it looked like paint by numbers. How dare you? This is Frank Miller, sir! Anyway, it's not just Frank Miller that is going to be in the pages of this Omni. Look at all these names. You got Claremont, Cockrum, Golden, Kane, Leonardi, Macchio, Mantlo, McKenzie, Miller, Perez, Smith, Stern, Vez, Windsor-Smith, and Wolfman. Those are all legends, and of course they could not put it here, right? Otherwise the text would be like this, and the Marvel Fanfare would be shrunken down. But here is your spine right there, Volume 1. And then the back of the book, showcasing each of the different covers. And of course, this is before the digital era, so they're not textless covers. They actually have the font up at the top, the logo of Marvel Fanfare. Collected at last, the celebrated series that brought together the greatest creative talents of the 1980s. Woo! That just brings goosebumps. I love that, because it is true. That's what they did. So let's look underneath the dust jacket here. A Cause for Fanfare, the greatest creative talent of the 1980s, all in one place. Oh my gosh. And then bio on the creators. And it's mainly the top billing creators. I mean, there's other creators that you're going to find in this book. Here's the logo again, Marvel Fanfare Omni, and the spine of the book, the Wolverine pick, and then nothing back here, though. All right. What exactly is Marvel Fanfare? What in the world are they talking about? Celebrating the series that brought together the greatest creative talents of the 1980s? Oh, if you don't know what this is, you're in for a treat. But to some of us, this brings back a lot of memories. All right, let's get it open and see what exactly is in here, and if it's complete. All right, let's go ahead and get this Omni open. We have our end sheets there. We have this beautiful piece by Barry Windsor-Smith of Old Blue-Eyed. And then we have the title right here with the behind the scenes of all the people that helped put this together. And including the special things, you have your table of contents, and yes, hell yes, I love the fact that we have an introduction by none other than Al Milgrom. And if you remember the Marvel Fanfare, what other way to kick off an introduction than editorial? Yes, they brought it back. That's so cool. What a cool way to bring an introduction to the book, talking about the history of this in a comic booky way. Like, you have sequential art here, and this is the way that Al Milgrom would end or begin each of the issues. But your table of contents right here, breaking down each of the issues. So the way that this is collected, really quick, in case you don't want any spoilers, this is an anthology series. So if issue number 1 had a Spider-Man and, or I'm sorry, it was Spider-Man and Angel story and it continued into issue 2, it is separated by issues. It's not all clumped together, which is the way that I like anthologies. I like a break from the main story. So collected in here is issue 1 through 19 of the Marvel Fanfare. And that is 736 pages and retailing for $100. So we kick it off with this introduction from Al Milgrom, who was the editor who pitched it over to then at the time Jim Shooter, who was of course the editor-in-chief. And what he wanted to do was showcase the comic industry's best talents in each issue. And each issue would feature 36 pages with no ads. And there's a little bit of background as to how they were able to do this. And it was printed on like magazine style glossy paper, which was unheard of at the time because we're looking at 1982. Like the very beginning of 1982. And the comic, however, would cost $1.25 when most of the comics, I think at the time, were they 55 or I think they were 60 cents or 55 cents. And please correct me if I'm wrong. I was not getting single issues in 1982. I mean, I was just getting whatever my uncle would send me. But anyway, that's what this was. So it's an anthology series. So if you grew up in the 90s, you remember Marvel Comics Presents. And of course, taking all the top talent and putting it into one book. And it's such a unique experience because it breaks it down, again, each issue by different story arcs. So in here, sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 3 stories. Sometimes, I think for the most part, it's 2 stories. For example, we kick it off with this storyline right here that I love. It's been collected in a old trade paperback. It's also been part of the storylines in Uncanny X-Men OmniVolume 2. That's where you can find this. So I will tell you where you can find some of the stories. So in case you're familiar with the title, actually, Marvel Fanfare, you might have seen it in parts of some collections, especially if it features like one of the characters. But there's going to be some stuff in here that I can't imagine they're going to collect anywhere. So this is the story of Peter Parker and Warren Worthington III going into the Savage Land for different reasons. Peter Parker is going to go and report. He's back in the Savage Land. And Angel is summoned to the Savage Land by Tanya Anderson. Now, if you remember that character, by the way, all the editorial notes, yes, they're all intact. They're all in here, letting you know where you're going to find these original stories. I love that. That brings it back home for me. But they are going back to the Savage Land. And who are they going to see there? Well, none other than Tanya's ex-boyfriend, who she's trying to find. And that is, of course, Sauron. Now, Carl Lycos becomes Sauron, but in this, he ends up taking the powers from Spider-Man and Angel in a unique way. So in issue number 1, we also have a story here by Roger McKenzie and Paul Smith, a very young Paul Smith, about a Christmas time Santa and Daredevil and how he's able to help him out to get out of his funk that he's in. We have this letter right here from Jim Shooter, and eventually you're going to see some of the subscription pages here. You're going to see the letter pages through here. You're going to see all the pinups, and I mean all the pinups. We're going to get to some here in a little bit. And then, of course, what I was talking about, the introduction or the outro sometimes by Editori Al. And Michael Golden doing the first 2 issues, Chris Claremont, of course, writing these issues. I want to say that these were originally supposed to be in a Marvel team-up story, but because they were kicking off the magazine, they were like, we need something quick, so that's what he brought. Now, originally, I think the idea was, let's make original stories. This is the Fantastic Four story from Annihilation. This has been collected, I think, in Marvel Masterworks so far, not in Omni format. I love this page right here. No, this is beautiful. I love that take on Annihilus. Now, the story of the Savage Land and Sauron versus Angel and Spider-Man continues, but we do have Dave Cockrum come in and then Paul Smith drawing the rest of this. So it's not just him, it's actually all the mutates, like Amphibian and Blindside, or no, what was his name? Brainchild, that's the name. And the character of Vertigo there that will eventually join the Marauders. We have El Aguila right here with Hawkeye. This is the swashbuckling story, or Swashbucklers is what it's called. Now, that's been collected in a Hawkeye Epic Collection. And then this right here was my first Marvel Fanfare, because anytime I had, like, the X-Men in a comic, I would have to get said comic, no matter what it was. And I had no idea what Marvel Fanfare was. I just remember seeing it in a back issue bin when I was a kid. And I was a huge fan of Paul Smith because he was the first artist that I remember drawing Uncanny X-Men that I got into. Now, again, these stories have been collected in Uncanny Omni Volume 2. There's a Deathlock story back here, which I think has only been collected in a Masterworks format. This is by David Anthony Kraft, but also Michael Golden coming back. And remember when I said everything is going to be collected in here? Like the letters and the letter pages and the pinups? Yes, we are going to get to the pinups. This is a really cool story of Doctor Strange right here. I think I just read it recently. No, it was the Scarlet Witch and Vision story that I read recently. But this is the story with Nicodemus right here and the fight against him. Plus, phenomenal artists. I mean, you're looking at P. Craig Russell and Marshall Rogers working together. Chris Claremont writing that story. You have this backup tale of Captain America with Bucky right here. And I've always been a fan of this piece by P. Craig Russell. I think it's beautiful. This is another one that I just read recently. This is the one I think I read in, if I'm not mistaken, it was in Masterworks format. The story of Zandu and his revenge. Again, beautiful, absolutely stunning artwork right here by P. Craig Russell inking it, and then Sandy Plunkett drawing it. But it's art like this that you're going to be seeing through here. It is pretty much the top of the creator food chain at the time. They were able to pay these creators more money to get them to come in and do this. This is the fight against Blob and Eunice the Untouchable. Believe me or not, like, this is not collected in an X-Men Omni. This is actually, I think, in just the Marvel Masterworks, if I'm not mistaken. Because I don't think they've done quite a collection of Marvel Fanfare in the past. They've just done, like, actual stories. It's in issue 8 that we get, this is another Daredevil story, that we get into some interesting territory. And I don't mean this story right here by Peter Gillis and Carmine Infantino with P. Craig Russell inking it. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Of somebody else claiming to be the Sorcerer Supreme. But what I find interesting, that I don't know where else it'll be collected, is this right here. This is the Jungle Book. It's an adaptation of the Jungle Book by Bill Kane, by P. Craig Russell, and I think is it Mary Jo Duffy? I think that is the editor at the time on the book. But anyway, it's an adaptation of the Jungle Book, and it goes on for 3 issues. And, oh, there's the portfolio pieces here. You may have seen in some of other collections right here. You have Dazzler and Doctor Strange, the Hulk, She-Devil, and Thor. But, oh my gosh, just the amount of talent and the type of stories that you're going to be finding through here are just mind-blowing. This is the Rock and Soul story right here by J.M. DeMatteis and Joe Brzezowski. I don't think that's been collected. And continuing the adventures of the Jungle Book. Now, it's not the only adaptation you're going to be seeing here. This is the art of Butch Geist right here. So sometimes they would have portfolio pieces. And then we see this, which I'll do a comparison. This is the Black Widow story. And this is the, I think it's Web of Intrigue or something like that. And it is done by the phenomenal George Perez, of course. Just, my gosh, that artwork with Bread Breeding on inks. Ralph Macchio telling the story right here. And this is Black Widow, who is the star of the show. Like, she didn't have her own ongoing series, but here we're treated to, like, 3 different stories. We have just super heroics type of stories. We have an espionage story that introduces us to a whole new group of villains. And again, separated by the other stories that were in part of the issue. So the anthology, it's the Brent Anderson portfolio here with that piece of Wolvie and Shooter's Page. And it continues into the next story arc. So these do end up doing a to be continued in next issue. But not every one of them, right? Like sometimes they are like one and done kind of storylines. By this point, you have George Perez doing some of the co-plotting too. And in case you're not familiar with Black Widow, at the very beginning, there's a quick recap as to who she is. But in those type of stories, you are going to find all kinds of new villains that we're introduced to, like, oh my gosh, the Iron Maiden, for example, and the Black Lotus, and in Kama, I think. There's even a little story here from, I think, was this Assistant Snapdragon shows up here. Assistant Editors Month, if I'm not mistaken. So there's like a couple of like little goofy stories like that. We have this portfolio piece from Rick Leonardi, one of my favorite artists. And as I mentioned, the actual letter pages are collected in here. Now the story is complete, and I'll do a comparison to the Black Widow Omni because that has been collected in the Black Widow Omni. We have the Warriors 3 backup story here. Or not a backup story, this is just another story that's collected featuring the Warriors 3. The Ballad of the Three. This is by Charles Vess and Alan Zelenitz working on this particular story featuring those three characters. We have the Vision story here. And the Vision and Scarlet Witch story has been collected in that new Vision and Scarlet Witch Volume 1 masterwork. There's also a Quicksilver story, if I'm not mistaken, in the Inhumans. Yes, right here. This is the Quicksilver in the Inhumans with Alan Weiss and Mary Jo Duffy. This is a beautiful, beautiful story by Barry Windsor-Smith. It's called That Night to Johnny from your best pal, Benjamin. And, oh my gosh, absolutely stunning. And it is collected in the Thing Omni. I remember this being collected in there. There is a Daredevil story back here. And if you want to see him go through like a lot of his rogue gallery, that's the one. After the letter pages, there is this Daredevil story back here too, by Roger McKenzie and Jack Sparling. So if you were... Oh, this is something else that I don't think has ever been collected. This is the Skywolves by Marv Wolfman and Dave Cockrum. Yeah, right here. So in here, it's a two-issue story, issues 16 and 17, and where you get to meet the Skywolf team. This is Sydney, Littlejohn, Skylar, and Matt Slade III. And it's pretty much all of them fighting a bunch of Nazis during 1940. And yes, there are magical elements. There might be aliens in here, and definitely dragons. And there's a couple of... Oh, and there's actual ads for other things too in here. Even things like, I remember Dungeons and Dragons, the cartoon. And then we get to this. This is one of my favorite stories here. This is A Day in the Life. I love this. Is by David Anthony Kraft and Tony Salmons. It's just the Hulk bouncing around, trying to get some water because he's hot. And he sees that humans are hunting down some animals. So he's like, stupid humans trying to hurt animals. Then he realizes the entire animal kingdom is out to kill each other. So he tries to throw off that balance. I don't know. It's just a really cool story. I don't think that one... I know that one I've never read before because I've never owned that issue. Then Marvel Fanfare right here. Issue number 18. This is the one by Frank Miller and Roger Stern working together on this book. This has been collected in the Marvel Epic Collection. I think it's in the Society of Serpents. And then the Frank Miller, Marvel Universe by Frank Miller Omni. Just Captain America realizing that he's fighting his own people through here. So it starts off as a report by, is it Luis? Yeah, Luis Morris. Goes deeper into, wait a second, maybe I'm fighting my own people here. All right, so here's some pinups or from the Kevin Nolan portfolio. Absolutely gorgeous ladies of Marvel and Red Sonja. So, when I said everything was included in here, I meant everything. Oh, Terry Austin portfolio. My goodness. Yes, please. And then the letter pages. And then the last issue that's collected in here, issue 19, which has the Bill Mantlo. And I think it's, Tony Salmon's story. Same guy that did the Hulk storyline. Now, that was in the first Omni of Cloak and Dagger. So, yes, some of these stories have been collected before. This is the beautiful Rick Leonardi piece right here by Bill Mantlo. And I think this is all Cloak and Dagger, if I'm not mistaken. Because there's some pinups. And then we have the extras. Editorial. In the 1980s, Al Milgrom created the editorial introductions for various titles beyond Marvel Fanfare. Primarily his special edition reprints, beginning with Warlock Special Edition number 2. And these are his introductions that are collected in here from the different issues of Warlock Special Edition. By the way, one thing I did not say, I wanted to wait until I got to the very end. This is some pretty cool news, but when you're reading that introduction, this is a beautiful piece here by Michael Golden. You'll notice that he says this is one of 3 big books. That would be awesome, because there were 60 issues that were originally released until I think the series came to an end. Right, I want to say it lasted from 1982. Well, I guess that would be about 5 years, right? If it was no, wait, they didn't do them. I think it was bi-monthly for a while, but it must have ended in the early 90s. But there was a volume 2, and it would be cool to see that collected. Those, I think, only lasted for like 6 issues. Then we have some original art here. Absolutely stunning pieces from different creators. And the trade paperback that I had many years ago, because I could not find issues 1 and 2 for a reasonable price. And your end sheets. Now, let's look at the binding, and then we'll do a comparison. 736 pages. It is sewn binding. And this one is printed at the iMac printer. So I want to go ahead and look at this. So you are going to see some bleed through happening. But honestly, the paper stock feels heavier than some of the paper stock they've released. But there's bleed through happening, though. So I did want to make you aware of that. And as far as the way the book lays over, like when there's actual spread pages, here's the way it looks towards the beginning. Because some of the issues had a wraparound cover. Some of them had like a back piece and a front piece. All right. I wanted to compare the internal artwork of Black Widow. So let's do that really quick. All right, we have on the left-hand side the Black Widow Omni, which was printed at one of these one-off printers that they only used 3 or 4 times. This is at the Malaysian printer, so it has a flat spine. It's the only one that hasn't been reprinted. Wolvie 2 and JMS Spidey 1 have been reprinted with a curved spine since then. But the bleed-through is a little more prominent over here compared to over here. They are using thicker paper stock than the iMac printer. And yes, I wanted to come to a page like this, double-page spread, where the eye is a little bit, even though this is a flat spine, the eye is a little bit better than over here, but it looks about the same type of gutter loss, I'll be honest, between both of them. And you can mainly tell by her eye right there, but you can definitely see just a little bit more coming through in the Marvel Fanfare Omni compared to this. And as far as the colors, they seem just a little bit more vibrant over here, but that could be also due to the paper stock. But that is it. That, as they say, brings back a lot of memories of hunting down those single issues that had all the X-Men. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors. BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader in graphic novels. They have a physical storefront in Montreal, Quebec, and their website, bdcosmos.com, offers 25% off your order of over $99 or more, and free shipping everywhere in Canada for every order of $250 or more.
Their shipping care is exceptional. Your books will stay cozy through the rough Canadian weather and arrive to you in near mint condition.
After checkout, let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way, and you'll be added to the monthly $25 gift card raffle. Entries are valid for new and returning customers.
Don't be afraid to call or email them. Ask them questions. Their staff is always happy to help guide you towards the right purchase. Visit their website, bdcosmos.com, for more. BD Cosmos, with rewards and raffles taking care of customers in Canada. Eh?
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget, the CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this Omni. In the comments down below, let me know if you have any more questions, if you would love to see the continuation of this series, so we can get a total of 3 and have all 60 issues collected, and even the ones that came out in the 90s. And also, if you want to see a continuation of anthologies, like Marvel Comics Presents. I know a lot of my viewers have been asking about those, and we just did the poll. But anyway, I would love to know all those answers down below. And please don't forget to hit that like button on the way out. Everybody, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.